Right, once it goes to the other laptop.
Okay. Okay, so hello everyone. In this discussion, we're going to explore the role that intellectual property management plays in the business strategies and operations of technologically innovative SMEs. I'm Daphne Yong-d'Hervé, and I'm responsible for intellectual property policy and management in ICC, the International Chamber of Commerce. ICC has just released a research paper on how innovative SMEs can better manage their intellectual assets to better create more value from those. So to discuss some of the themes in this paper, we have in our discussion today two people who work in or with innovative SMEs on an everyday basis. We have Emil Pot from Actogenix in Belgium and Omer Hiziroglu from Inovent in Turkey. So, Emil, you are the General Counsel of Actogenix, which is a biotechnology company spin-off from a research institute in Ghent, in Belgium. To what extent does your company have a conscious strategy to manage its intellectual assets, and why?
Hi, Daphne. Well, at the time the company was established in 2006, we already had a strong patent portfolio of 12 patent families. And this strong patent portfolio appeared to be very instrumental in obtaining a substantial first round of financing of 30 million. This money has been obtained from venture capital funds and family offices. Our company is actually small. We only have 22 employees, but this is sufficient to perform all activities of drug development and manage outsourcing activities. In particular, IP management is a very important aspect within the company because we're developing drug products based on a unique platform for the oral delivery of therapeutic proteins and antibodies. Normally, these biologics are administered via injection, but in order to maintain our competitive advantage and create value for our shareholders, it's extremely important to have an active IP management in place. So we monitor competitors, we file defensive patents and also file new patents that further strengthen our IP position in the field of oral delivery of biologics. And in this very strong IP management, it is important that it helps out our business strategy to enter into valuable deals and collaborations with third parties, because it's eminent for every potential partner that our IP is very strong and that every product is covered by at least 5 different patent families. So in this way, we stand very strong in partnership discussions.
Well, thanks, Emil. So clearly IP management is a very essential part of your business. Omer, you are the general manager of Inovent, which is Turkey's first technology commercialization accelerator and seed fund company, and it's a fully owned subsidiary of Sabancı University. What kind of companies are in your portfolio, and what's been the role of IP asset management in the different types of technology companies that you've been working with?
Okay. Well, as we tend to work mostly with universities and university-born startups and technologies, we actually follow an opportunistic approach. So basically, whatever the research output of the university is, we are usually interested in it. So when I look at my portfolio, we have a portfolio that ranges from nanotech to software to robotics, mechatronics to biotech. So it's quite diverse. One important criteria that we have with regards to our selection is that the technology that is at the base of the business model that we're going to incubate and accelerate in our incubation center has to have some sort of strong, innovative approach, and of course that innovation should be ideally protectable in the form of a patent. So we do assist our startups in securing those patents, building their business plan around it, and when necessary, and it happens every once in a while, assist them building an additional patent portfolio so that they maintain the competitive advantage in the marketplace that these very early stage startups darnely need. So IP is critical in our selection process. We've been doing this for over 7 years now, where we have had over 30 startups, a few exits, and we can now attest with a few of our success stories, because our most recent and the biggest success story is a robotic startup founded around 2 core patents, and in less than a year and a half, this company was valued, when we invested in it, about $700,000 overall value. The company's valuation went up to $12 million in a year and a half, and secured $4 million of financing from US investors. And this company that we exited from is now currently valued at $20 million, basically a little bit over 2 years and a half. So it's a quite good and convincing story for us.
That's a great success story, and it sounds like IP is really critical for investors when they make decisions in different sectors. But I imagine it's not always easy for SMEs to manage their assets. What do both of you see as the most common challenges that small innovative companies face, and what advice would you give them? Emil, what do you think?
Well, I see different challenges that are faced by small innovative companies. An important one is that I see there is a lack of in-house expertise of IP, which I think is essential, because there needs to be a correct understanding of IP within the company. You need to make sure that the IP is covering any future product strategies. There's also important decisions to be made on territories to file and validate patents, and to get rid of redundant IP. And sometimes there is a lot of redundant IP that has been hanging around there for years. But also an important aspect is to instruct patent attorneys adequately, to make sure is that you will maintain and have a proper IP protection. Another challenge, I think, is to have sufficient financial resources for filing and validating the patents. And I think at last there is a need to have a good understanding what the impact could be of lawsuits on IP, and that means infringement cases, but also, unfortunately, dealing with patent trolls. So the advice I would give to other innovative companies is that make sure that there is someone within the company that has been assigned responsibility for IP management, and have him or her trained properly. And also, I think it's important to educate investors of the company, and also management of the company, on how important IP is for an innovative company, and release sufficient financial funds for filing and maintaining a patent portfolio.
Okay, well, thanks, Emil. And so, Omer, what challenges have you seen in the companies that you work with?
I think I will generally agree with what Emil just said. In addition, I think the lack of awareness is the most crucial problem. Most of these SMEs, and in fact even larger companies in Turkey at least, are not really aware of the importance of IP, are completely unaware of the fact that intellectual assets as a whole need to be managed and maximized. So that lack of awareness and ability to strategize around IP and intellectual assets are a big challenge. For those companies who have a certain awareness or a strategy around IP, obviously the cost of protecting your technology, patents, is usually an issue, especially for startups and small enterprises. So a lack of funds will be a challenge, but I think there are several ways that that money issue can be circumvented, in the sense that while overall international patent protection strategy could be costly over time, it's very possible to file a national patent and maintain that national patent at least for the 12 months and explore and build on that technology and see if it's worthwhile investing more money securing international, basically going international with your protection. So it's a good way to spread out the cost of the patent protection. In addition, many countries have some sort of NGOs, especially think of Enterprise Europe Network within the European community that actually assist and provide some sort of not necessarily financial funding, but at least advice to startups who would like to know how to tackle these issues. And the last, maybe a bit of advice, especially coming or working very closely with universities, we tend to basically overcome the cost of patents by asking the university to actually file for a patent and then license it to our startups when necessary. And usually we're able to work out a good deal where the royalties are usually deferred. So the cost of patent prosecution is borne by the university, at least initially. That's a very important boost for the startup. And then in the case of success, well, then we pay royalties back, and that university is happy as well. So actually engaging universities, especially for IP coming up universities and their TTOs, is a really good way to go.
Oh, hey, that's very interesting. So clearly costs, lack of expertise, lack of awareness seem to be big challenges. What do you think governments can do to help small companies face these challenges? Maybe we could start with Emil.
Well, I think it's very important, like Omer also mentioned, is that they in some way try to financially support these companies, and that can be done via tax policies to support SMEs, but that can be done via other means as well. I think another important aspect is that the governments need to ensure that the intellectual property rights are available and enforceable in general at a reasonable cost by SMEs, and that they also need to be sure that the patent quality is improved and that there is an increasing legal certainty. Because these young innovative companies, they rely very heavily on patents, and if it appears that one of these patents become invalid through a lawsuit, then that's quite unfortunate for them. Another thing is what the governments can do is to institute training programs, not only to raise awareness about the importance of IP, but also to improve the SME's intellectual asset management and to create opportunities for them to engage with IP officials. So I think these are things that the governments can do to help SMEs.
Okay, thank you. Omer, what do you think?
Well, again, and obviously, general agreement with Emil. One thing I think is very important is, even on the sort of macro approach, is that governments have to make sure that we have a foreseeable and a transparent legal system overall, not just with IP. I think that's crucial that the legal system works so that we can build on it. So that goes without saying, but I think it's very important. Turkish government, based on our experience, is actually doing quite a lot. There's lots of incentives there, lots of training and awareness building activities are being organized by various governmental entities, which are obviously quite important and good. Turkish government is also providing some sort of grant and financing for SMEs that want to seek patent protection. And I think that number, if I recall correctly, can go up to $50,000 as a grant, which is quite sustainable and impressive for those companies who know how to use it. There's also some sort of tax benefits for technology-based startups in Turkey, which is also good. But one thing I really would like to see is governments really playing a role of an enabler rather than a controller with these grants and incentive programs, basically create the ecosystem, but not to manage it too much, because I think government is not really good for that particular role. And I think one of the best ways to really incentivize startups to focus on building their IP portfolio, and also incentivize larger companies working with startups, licensing technology from those startups, will really create some sort of a tax incentive for technologies that are licensed. Basically, the licensed royalty income should be somewhat tax deductible. I think that will really attract lots of companies dealing with startups, and I think it will really foster startups to find ways to maximize their IP portfolio via licensing.
Okay. So it sounds like the best way governments can help is to be an enabler through tax incentives and maybe subsidies, providing a good, transparent legal system with legal certainty for patents, and also providing training programs. That was very, very helpful. Well, thank you, Emil and Omer, for sharing your experiences and those very valuable insights. I'm sure they'll be very helpful for discussions in the future on how SMEs can better use their IP assets to create value for themselves and for the economy generally and for society. For those listening, the IC research paper, Enhancing IP Management and Appropriation in Innovative SMEs, is the first of a research series that IC is putting out on innovation and IP. If you'd like to obtain a copy, please contact me at dye@iccwbo.org or on the ICC website at www.iccwbo.org. Well, thank you very much, and thank you, Emil and Omer.
Thank you.
It was a pleasure. Bye.